Hello. I am experimenting with how I can tell my story and how I want to tell my story to you and to the world. And I have been reading a couple of poems out loud and shared them. And now I want to try to read a bit of a longer text. I do put some of my memories down in what I call fragments. Those are very specific memories, which I often remember in very high detail. And I would like your feedback on if it is better to read them yourself or if it adds something that I'm reading them to you. So here I go with trying to read a text that I call Anesthetized. And this is a memory from when I am around 22 years old. He comes into the room. I hear him, but I can't move. I can't wake up. I sense his presence with my whole body. He speaks to me, but my mouth cannot formulate an answer. My brain is there, but it has no connection to its body. He pulls my cover. I can hear him. He hands me a thermometer, telling me to check my own temperature. My arms and hands flail a bit, with no direction it seems. I'm hardly able to move. He gets impatient with me. My brain is trying to choose what to do. It gives orders to the body, but it doesn't help. We are helpless in there, with no way of communicating what goes on for us. I hear his voice. He begs me, he orders me, he scolds me, he threatens me, he coaxes me. But it doesn't help, because we can't do anything. We can't move. Finally, he pulls the whole cover off me. He pulls my frock up, pulls down my underwear, turns me around and inserts the thermometer into my butt. All I can do is to lie there, while he measures the time and then pulls the thermometer out again. Then he leaves. He comes back half an hour later and drags me out of bed. I can by then cooperate a bit and put some clothes on. Luckily it's summer and I don't need that many clothes. He stands looking at me while I'm struggling with clothing myself. What do I read in his face? Pity? Disgust? Impatience? Superiority? A tinge of compassion? He takes me by my arm and leads me out into the hallway. I'm ordered to sit down on a chair. I more or less fall down into it. I know the procedure. One more man is needed. I'm not allowed to walk outside with less than 2 guards. Most of the people working here are male. So we leave the ward, I in the middle, 2 big guys on either side of me, one younger and one a bit older. If it hadn't been for the situation I was in, I had endured this gorgeous beginning of a day. The sun is shining. We are walking through the park. There are trees, flowers, birdsong, and the shimmering light you only see in the mornings. I pick up on this despite being so dragged, and I can hardly remain on my feet, but keep on losing my balance and the tonus in my muscles. I'm like a rag doll, or a mollusk. The 2 men on each side of me give me a frame. I focus on walking in between them without bumping into them. I do not succeed, and they reach out and grab me to steady me. We are not walking very far, a couple of 100 meters between 2 buildings. We take the elevator, get off and are directed into a vacant treatment room. There is a bed in there and some machinery. It's a small room. I'm ordered to lay down. Now I'm going to be put to sleep. Again. First I'm ordered to open my mouth and I have a rubber plate put into it. Then I'm given the shot. And there I go again, out, gone. I wake up about 15 minutes later. I don't know that then, but I can figure that out once I'm awake enough to notice the time on the clock. I'm told to get up and then we're off again. Back to the ward. It's called ECT, electroconvulsive therapy. I do not voluntarily go to these treatments, but I am sectioned, so I cannot make my own decisions on what treatment I am to receive. In total, I get 12 ECT treatments. The doctor who has ordered them thinks I'm improving by them because I self-harm less. The truth is I'm self-harming less because I have realized that they are going to keep me here forever if I do not manage to refrain from the self-harming. The doctor thinks the ECT treatments and the massive amount of medication I am on is what is helping me. That and the military-like life on the ward. You do as you're told. If you don't do, there are immediate consequences. On the ward, there is me, a very fat and aggressive schizophrenic woman, a young man with epilepsy from too many unsuccessful suicides. He is soon to succeed. And then an assorted bunch of convicted criminals who are too sick to be in jail, most of them violent, most of them convicted for violent crimes. I stay in this ward as an inpatient for 9 months, and for an additional 4 months I need to go there and spend 1 night a week there so they can monitor me. And then I need to go for shots for an additional 4 months. If I don't, I will be hospitalized again. The shots I get is with a heavy neuroleptic that has severe side effects. I lose a natural gait and walk and move like a person with Parkinson's. My blood is affected. I get funguses, a severe feeling of internal itch like pins and needles move around in my legs, a dry mouth, and of course a very foggy brain. I need to take medication for the side effects. I'm also subscribed calming medication and sleep medication. I barely exist. Yet, all the time I do fight the treatments, which only ends up dragging and prolonging them. In a couple of weak moments, I do fall back into self-harm and starvation, but manage to keep it on a level that on occasions make them have me return full-time to the ward, but they do keep on letting me go. After almost 1.5 years, I am let out of the grip of these doctors. Then in total I have spent almost 3 years as an inpatient in psychiatric care. I leave much worse off than I came. The day I am released from being sectioned, I quit all medication. They warn me I will be back in hospital in no time, severely sick. But I have never taken any psychiatric medication after that day, and neither did I go through any withdrawal symptoms. What happened was that my body steadily went back to functioning, my mind cleared. I had not gotten rid of any of the symptoms I once came with to ask for help with, and I was not any wiser about what was wrong with me. I had gotten all kinds of diagnoses, but none of them really fit. I went to the university library and read through the whole section of psychology and psychiatry. All I could conclude was that I was not in those books. I still made no sense to myself, and I did not look like I was going to make sense to anyone else either. I resumed my university studies, got short-time work as a substitute at my old workplace, and kept going to see my therapist. I kept on falling back into entering destructive relationships, self-harm and starvation. I lived with severe flashbacks, nightmares, dissociation and switching, not having those names and no knowledge about them even existing as phenomenons or symptoms of trauma. I did tell my therapist about some of the sexual assault I had been exposed to as a child and as a teenager, but he never helped me connect those experiences with my symptoms or my struggles with fear, distrust or social difficulties and so on. I did pick up on him seeing me as very odd, and though he did believe me on the sexual abuse, he made it clear that one abuser he could hear about. The rest would be my fantasies. He also worked hard on me to acknowledge my own desires to have a sexual relationship with him. My adult me felt zero attraction to him. Some smaller parts saw him as a father figure, and then would of course want his love. I do not think he would have been able to deal with those distinctions. He did put in my record that he at some point suspected multiple personality disorder, but he never brought it up with me, and there are no further mentions of it in his records of me. I was diagnosed in the summer of '97 with MPD, but then it was too late for me to stay and try anything more. The first thing they wanted was to put me on medication again, and I simply refused to go down that path again. I know that was the right choice for me. Medication made my dissociation much worse. And to me, that makes sense. If fading away from myself is my defense, medication that makes me fade away even more would be contraindicated. I do tend to become highly anxious as well at times, but I rather live with that than being a walking dead. I have learned a number of strategies to help me stay present, but also help me to not go into a spin of anxiousness. When I left the mental health care, I was still a mystery to myself, and I had very little faith in anyone ever being able to help me. I did leave the psychiatric care system totally in '97. I put everything I had been through growing up, the social welfare system, mental health care system, all of it into a black box. I locked it, and then I threw away the key. It was first with my stepfather's death in 2012 I even acknowledged the existence of that black box. And when I did, I knew I both needed and wanted to reopen it. And I did. I also found out there is still very little sensible and sustainable help to get to help me understand myself, at least in my country. I'm finding what I need on my own, slowly rebuilding my life, and not only rebuilding but building it, finding solid stepping stones to the foundation of me. I have to find what I need on my own, but I do accept help from others. I cannot rebuild myself on my own. It takes a village to look away from child sexual abuse and neglect. It also takes a village to help someone enter society as a more whole person again. I don't think anyone can mend themselves in total isolation. So here I am, keeping on, and building on myself and my life. Thank you for listening to me reading this to you. I would really like your feedback. And maybe it's about shorter texts, me being a better reader, or not reading from the screen, or whatever it could be. So just put some comment in here and tell me what you think or what you feel.